bloody stuff was oozing from his body. Mahaprabhu had the, we mentioned this already yesterday, Mahaprabhu had the power to cure him because he had already done it. He did it with a Brahmana named Vasudeva, whose body was riddled with leprosy so bad that worms were eating away his body. Mahaprabhu embraced him and his body became well, like gold. Vasudeva was crying and crying and crying. The same Mahaprabhu was embracing Sanatana Goswami and his body didn't become well. Karma? Man proposes, God disposes. It was just karma. There was a purpose. Haridas Thakur said, "Oh dear Lord, who can understand your purpose?" Okay. Next. Is that it?
Eagerly waiting for the personalities of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Thank you, Maharaj.
Guru Maharaj, this is the question from yesterday. The online.
Okay.
This is Giridhari Prabhu's son, Shriyad. We can pursue material scientific studies with an intention that we can reach out to that crowd and share Vedic science accordingly.
Yes.
Is that correct understanding?
It's possible. It's really easy to get distracted from that mission, but that's certainly possible, and it's something that Prabhupada wanted. Or, say it differently, if one has such an interest, that's the proper use of that interest. And he wanted his science-minded disciples, followers, to do that and engage with those that are atheistic scientists and be able to speak the same language as the atheist scientists, but help them become theists, by humble persuasion and logic and reason and, the strength of Bhagavad Dharma. He wanted. He gave a lot of encouragement to Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, a lot, and to Sadhuputa and others, and he wanted others to do. So it's certainly possible. And it's like swimming with sharks. It's also pretty dangerous. So be protected by the purpose of doing such an activity, because otherwise one can become implicated in a different mission. Is there another question?
No, I have a question.
You have a question. Go ahead.
I'm seeking some clarification for the 10 offenses, couple of them. So the fourth one says it's an offense to blaspheme the Vedic literature or any literature in Vedic pursuance. So the Vedic literatures are like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the other that's mentioning is that like Puranas, Itihasas, Mahabharat. What other literatures that?
It can expand. The Sanskrit is Shruti, Shastra, Ninda, and the Shrutis are complemented by the Smritis, or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version, Shrutis and Smritis. Now it can expand to, the commentaries of our acharyas that are writing on shrutis and smritis. And one should not ninda, one should not blaspheme or minimize or vilify such literatures. Now there are people that do that, and they're offenders. So that's an explanation. The circle can expand.
And the other one is to not to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. So my understanding is that we distribute holy name freely.
And the books.
And the books and the teachings of Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
But we don't share the
Confidential things.
Such as like Krishna and his holy
But what we do is under the order of Guru. So the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is give the holy name to everyone. Even people who may say, offensive things about the holy name and the people who are distributing the holy name, we do it anyways. Under the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the representatives, the acharyas representing him. But there's boundaries. So that's your question. The boundaries are we don't give details and details and details and details to ordinary people about the holy name and the flow of outcomes from chanting the holy name. Rather, we say something very simple: chant to be happy. Or, the same things that Prabhupada said that we could say. Make your life sublime or become free from material suffering. ABC.
This.
Just stay within those boundaries and you're doing all right. Something else over here? You have something more?
I have one more.
One more.
So I was hearing one lecture, and in that the speaker was mentioning that there is a difference between doing service for Krishna's pleasure or thinking that I hope Krishna is pleased by me. So if you can comment or...
Even hope Krishna is pleased by me, it seems that the person, whoever is speaking this, is making the distinction between who's at the center. Because one can also wish that Krishna will be pleased by me, but it's for Krishna's pleasure, as opposed to I'm at the center. So it's subtle. So it has everything to do with intention, and who's at the center of that intention. The subject and the object. So Krishna should be pleased, or I should be pleased. Okay.
Maharaj, I was recently listening to a class and Srila Prabhupada was saying in that, or it was a morning walk, and he was mentioning to his disciples that I'm translating the 6th canto and it's so nice, it is so relishable. And somewhere I also read something like this, that certain sections of the Bhagavatam are maybe more relishable. And I was wondering, is it incorrect to say that just like we speak of the 5 rasas, they're all absolute, they're all perfect, but Madhurya rasa is the highest. So in the same way, would it be incorrect to say that certain cantos of the Bhagavatam are more relishable to devotees, like the 6th canto, and others are also perfect, but not like these descriptions are not as relishable. Or, yeah.
There's several ways of answering that. I'm thinking of Sadhaputta, and he really relished fifth canto. And for some people, that's sawdust. So according to his disposition, his interest was Bhagavan. It's not that he couldn't relish Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan as much as he could relish with taste fifth canto. But there's a particular gift that Krishna had given him, or disposition that Krishna had given him, meant to be used in Krishna's service, which he did. And with that, the Krishna's service aspect was very relishable for him. Then one might conjecture, as he progressed in Krishna consciousness, or someone that has a disposition that has a particular relish in an aspect of the Bhagavatam that to another person isn't as relishable, as they mature, the highest relish will come with Krishna's activities in Vrindavan, and amongst Krishna's activities in Vrindavan, Krishna's exchanges with the gopis. Then step back from that whole picture and say, how is one going to be able to relish those features of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan if one has been unable to relish the earlier cantos of the Bhagavatam? You know, we hear all kinds of things from Prabhupada about that. That's not what real relishing the 10th canto is. The battle of Kurukshetra is as important for Krishna Bhakta as Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan and Krishna's pastimes with the gopis. So there's relish to be found in each thing in relation to Krishna. The whole of the Bhagavatam is in relation to Krishna. It's Bhagavad Purana in relation to Bhagavan. So a shorter answer is, it depends. And depending upon the gift that Krishna has given one, there may be a greater relish over here, and later a greater relish over there, and later a greater relish someplace else. Prabhupada's making the remark that I've been translating the 6th canto and it's very relishable. Doesn't mean that he didn't find other cantos to be very relishable. I would think one should be very cautious about taking the position that, you know, this section of the Bhagavatam is more relishable than that. You know, it would, to me, that would say something more about the individual's not yet mature in devotion to Krishna to feel like that. At the same time, there's no denying Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan are most relishable. But then how to get that qualification to relish them as they can be relished. with some note of caution. Someone may find something more relishable than other somethings, but they're all relishable. One could say equally relishable. Here's a little Prabhupada story. There was a time when the different parts of Canto 2, Canto 3, Canto 4 were coming out from the BBT, and the book distributors were going out with, fourth Canto, Part 3, and people will take a look at the book and say, where's Part 1 and 2? So they asked Prabhupada what to say when people say, what happened to Part 1 and 2? And Prabhupada's answer was, tell them, and it works, tell them, when you're licking an ice cream, you can lick from this side or that side and it's all sweet. And it worked. People will go, okay. Anything else? It's okay. One last question over here, because of time.
Thank you for your class, Guru Maharaj. Happy appearance day to you today. So you said that matter unfolds, it's coming from the source of everything. And the second was that there is interaction of everything with the source.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that we are all, even human beings, related to each other in this world. And that is why, you were also saying that we have to develop qualities, which are important. So is there a ranking of, like in spiritual...
Is there a what?
A ranking.
Ranking.
Of qualities, like devotional service is the most important. I was under the impression that humility or the absence of ego would be the second most. But is there a hierarchy, or we should just develop all qualities?
Nice question.
Yeah.
Your question is chapter 13, verses 8 through 12.
Oh, okay.
And the answer is right in the very first two paragraphs.
Oh, okay.
But I'll just say, but you can go back and read and you'll get, the Prabhupada version recites my little summary version.
Okay.
There's 19 qualities which are listed as items of knowledge, because a manifestation of one in knowledge is they have qualities.
Okay.
See it the other way. A person that has information but not qualities doesn't manifest.
Okay.
Real knowledge, they have information, but real knowledge is qualities.
Oh,
It's,
okay.
commensurate. They come together. So then, in the very first paragraph, Prabhupada writes, of these, one is the most important. And you stated it. Undivided devotion to Krishna. And undivided devotion to Krishna is made possible, it's ushered in by taking shelter of a spiritual master. Acharya upasana, worship, upasana, acharya upasana. So those two, number one, number two, and then the others flow from that. And then the next paragraph he goes to what you just said, humility and pridelessness. Amanit vamadam vidvam.
Okay.
So it's not exactly, that's the hierarchy,
Okay.
because that's what your question is.
Yes.
But without humility and pridelessness, one isn't going to go very far with bhakti.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Maharaj, for clarifying.
Okay. Now and just to add, another argument could be made from Rupa Goswami's writings is that faith must be there, because without faith, bhakti won't grow. Adau Shraddha.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes. Thank you,
Okay.
Maharaj.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Ki jai.
jai.